be frank, I was absolutely pissed off with the level of, well, just the lack of respect shown by a very small minority of people. Nobody in our family has visited a shop or a supermarket for 6 weeks. We've been as responsible as we can in terms of avoiding other people and social distancing, but now unfortunately we are completely out of many different types of food. Our cupboards are looking bare and we really don't have much choice other than to brave it and go to a supermarket. So I'm heading out to get a big bag of flour from one of the local mills, which normally sells their products wholesale, but during this virus they're allowing people to buy individual bags. So I'm going to go and pick up a big 16 kilogram bag of flour, and after that I'm going to visit a supermarket. I'm not really sure what to expect. I've been asking my friends about, what's the best time to visit and are there often queues? Will I find lots of people there? And they've told me that now things have pretty much calmed down in England and most products are available in most shops, and often there's no queue at all. If there is a queue, you only have to wait for a few minutes. So I'm gonna go out and see for myself. I can't say that I'm enthusiastic about it. I really wish that we didn't have to go out of the house at all, but I took precautions. In January, I actually bought myself a proper I always struggle with this word, respiratory mask. It's not because it's a difficult word to say, it's just because I've always struggled with it. I bought myself a proper mask with a filter, knowing that at some point we'd have to visit a shop. That time is today, and so I'm going to go and visit a shop. So wish me luck. I really hope that nothing bad happens because we're going to do some food shopping. Okay, it's time for me to leave. I've got to be honest, I feel utterly foolish dressed like this, but I bought this mask and these goggles in February before lockdown because I was worried about what was coming, and there's no use me not using them now when this is probably going to be only one of a few occasions that we visit a supermarket. It's now the morning after the day before and I just didn't have any energy left last night to make like a conclusion video. This might sound a little bit daft, but it was a very stressful experience just going shopping. I know out of context that sounds like a very strange statement, but given the length that I've gone to, that my family have gone to avoid contact with other people for the last 6 or 7 weeks, going to the shop was a really big deal. And as you saw, I chose to wear this mask and goggles, and well, let me just tell you a little bit about the experience of actually going shopping first. Honestly, it was pretty horrible because I mean the supermarkets themselves, or the supermarket itself that I visited, had pretty much everything in stock that I needed. The only thing that I couldn't get was pasta, which is fine, we can live without pasta. But I was really disappointed. In fact, to be frank, that's not the correct way of putting it. To be frank, I was absolutely pissed off with the level of, well, just the lack of respect shown by a very small minority of people. It is the first time I've been to a shop, and other people, friends, have told me about their experiences visiting some bigger supermarkets, for example Tesco's, which is probably the biggest brand, the biggest chain of supermarket, the most popular supermarket, and also the most expensive, or one of the most expensive supermarkets in the UK. About how they manage the flow of people through the shops and basically try to enforce the social distancing rules of people keeping 2 meters apart from each other. Yesterday I visited a shop called Lidl. You might have heard of this shop before. I think they have shops all throughout Europe. And I was just really disappointed. To begin with, it looked as though from the outside that they were, enforcing social distancing rules. There was a person stood on the door. There were markings outside the shop showing, 2 meters apart for customers to queue while they were waiting to go in the shop. And it seemed as though the person at the door was,
allowing one person in when one person came out. So one in, one out, which all looked great. But after being in the shop for about 10 minutes, it was impossible to avoid being close to people because there were just too many people in the shop. And as I had sort of gone up the first aisle and then back down the first aisle, I could see on the door that there was nobody stood there anymore. Now, I visited the shop at about 3:30 in the afternoon. It was what I thought would be quite a busy time. Sorry, not a busy time, excuse me, of course. And it wasn't that busy, but it was too busy to have everybody in the shop without monitoring and controlling how many people were inside. And that just made me feel really, uneasy. Straight away, after being in the shop for only a few minutes, I saw there was nobody stood on the door anymore. Inside the shop, most members of the public were behaving responsibly and where possible trying to stay 2 meters apart from everybody else in the shop. But as we know, if you just look at society in general, under normal circumstances, there's always a small minority of people who, again, to be frank, are absolute arseholes. And that's what I saw yesterday. I saw a small minority of people who were not following the social distancing guidelines, who had no regard for other people, myself, my family, and think of the people who work in these shops all the time. I mean, I got bumped into at least twice while I was in the shop. Nobody should be getting close enough to another stranger that doesn't live in their household that they can bump into somebody. It's absolutely ludicrous. And it was very difficult for me to keep my cool while I was doing my shopping, and even now, the next day, I can feel myself, excuse me, getting quite angry about the situation because it's not fair. I know I sound like a little child. It's not fair that a few people are going to literally allow this issue to continue longer because they are not following and respecting the idea that we have to keep social distance from each other. And I don't know actually what's wrong with people, how people cannot understand what is going on and the severity of the situation around us. Has anybody else ever experienced such a strange thing as this? Because as far as I'm aware, in my life, there's never been a global pandemic before. Yet there are some people walking around like nothing has even happened. Nothing. Just walking around, getting close to each other. People stood in the supermarket like this far apart, just talking to each other, having a chat like, alright Dave, how's it going? Yeah mate, not bad, how are the kids? Yeah, they're all good. How's the missus? Yeah, she's good. What are you doing, people? Give your head a bang, you idiots. Anyway, there we go. I didn't film anything whilst I was doing my shopping. It didn't feel appropriate. And it was an extra responsibility carrying a camera with me, just another thing which I would have to keep clean. So I appreciate this vlog may be a little boring in comparison to some of the other vlogs I've put together. It's more of a diary vlog this week, but I wanted to share with you my experience of going shopping in the UK. And maybe it's possible that I am overreacting and I'm not thinking clearly because it's such an extreme circumstance all around us. But I'm just disappointed, really. Just really disappointed. I mean, there were other people in the shop who were elderly people, who must have been absolutely terrified having to visit the shop, especially with other people walking around, just so flagrantly disobeying the social distancing rules. Anyway, I could ramble on about this all day. I hope that you found some interest, and even if it wasn't the most interesting vlog, I'm certain that there will be lots of interesting vocabulary that you can learn. So yeah, I'll leave it there. Thanks for watching.